Hey guys, I want to tell you another story about how I got recommended to a brothel, basically to be with prostitutes by a Singaporean restaurant owner. This is another wacky story that I encountered that I felt on my backpacking trip to Cambodia and Vietnam, my Indochina trip. How it all began? Well, I was walking through the streets of Phnom Penh that were full of tuk-tuks. There were so many motorcycles and cars on the road. It was jam-packed, bruh. No kidding. It was so hot. It was sizzling, scorching hot above my head. And luckily, I bought a new, very thin shirt, and I bought a cap so I didn't get too sunburnt. So I was walking through the streets of Phnom Penh. I had my smartphone on Google Maps, and I was trying to search for any halal restaurants where I could and relax after a long, sweaty day. What I discovered was I saw a restaurant by the name of Jom Kopi. It sounded very Malaysian to me, and I thought to myself, "Hey, it's around 15 minutes away from where I'm walking." So I decided to walk to that restaurant. I got lost at first. I was looking around for where was the restaurant. I was looking left to right. I was looking up and down. I looked so confused and lost. I thought I might get robbed or I might get beaten up in the middle of this narrow alleyway, this narrow street. But luckily I managed to find that Malaysian restaurant and I arrived. And to my surprise, I greeted the people working at the restaurant and the owner happens to be there. The owner can speak Malay and English. So the shop owner, the restaurant owner invited me to chill and sit at the table and he introduced himself. Let's just call him by the name of Robin. Okay, Robin. He's actually not Malaysian. He's Singaporean, but you know, Malaysians and Singaporeans, we do have the same culture, very similar languages and similar lifestyles. So he's Singaporean, like Chinese Singaporean at least. He said that he's been living in Phnom Penh for around 3 years now, ever since the pandemic had happened. He brought his entire family to move to Phnom Penh for Singapore. Robin used to live in Malaysia as well for 18 years. He lived in Singapore, he grew up in Singapore, but then he decided to move and live in Malaysia for 18 years. After that, somehow he decided to move all the way to Phnom Penh and start a new life, maybe retire because he used to do a lot of different type of jobs and work. For the longest time, he used to work as a steward for the Singaporean Airlines. But before that, he used to work in real estate and different other white collar jobs, maybe back in Singapore or even in Malaysia. He told me that he used to live in Subang back then, and now he's kind of like a native of Phnom Penh because he could speak some Khmer. He started his own shop and restaurant in that area, and the vicinity, all of the other restaurants, like it looked like a food court. Okay, his restaurant was inside a food court, and that food court were all other Malaysian, Singaporean, and Indonesian shop hawkers or stalls that were selling different types of food. I was so happy because even though it has only been 2 days in Cambodia, but I felt as if I really missed Malaysia so much because the culture, the environment in Phnom Penh and Cambodia in general was so vastly different from that in Kuala Lumpur, let's say. It felt really homely and I felt as if I was back in Malaysia at that time. So we sat down and we continued on talking. Apart from that, he also mentioned that it was really hard for foreigners to land a job in Phnom Penh, and even the locals are paid peanuts. They are paid very little for the amount of work that they do in Phnom Penh. He also mentioned a lot of interesting things. Actually, he also makes chendol. If you know what chendol is, it's a Malaysian dessert. He was offered a job by the Malaysian embassy to provide a lot of chendol for the Hari Raya celebration the other day. And this is where the story gets totally crazy. I mean, totally explicit, okay? I was really surprised the moment that he suddenly asked me, "Bro, You came to Phnom Penh alone. Aren't you afraid of getting pegged? You know what I mean? Pegged illegal. I was so surprised. Okay, this guy has slowly become so explicit and somewhat very straightforward, and direct. I can't like in the beginning he was being quite cultured about himself, but then slowly he began to enter into that kind of zone, if you know what I'm saying. He began to ask me, do you take alcohol? Do you take substances? These are kind of the unfiltered raw things that you will get to experience while traveling, and I really dig I really dig it because it's not something that you will expect on travel while traveling. Most people, they expect things to be really clean and free from all of these dirty little things, but while traveling, especially for me while backpacking, you can get to experience raw, unfiltered, uncensored things going going around you. Okay, it's as if you're being a journalist in a war-torn country in a very dysfunctional dystopia, unregulated, lawless, anarchic society, and you're a single journalist going through it all, hoping that you'll survive the next day. And that was totally me. He was asking, do you want to drink alcohol, or and it got more intense when he suddenly recommended me a brothel. He wanted me to try out the prostitutes in Phnom Penh. What the thing that I Okay, I get it, man. I'm a lone male traveler. Okay, as a guy, I do have urges and desires too, but that wasn't something that I wanted to look for in Phnom Penh. But maybe for him, the most shocking thing, the thing that really blown my mind, which was boggling, was that he has six daughters. Okay, and some of his daughters are still studying. They're in uni in Singapore, and a wife. But the thing that really caught me off guard was that he went to the brothels and he hired prostitutes, even though he has a wife and six daughters. Six daughters, I kid you not. I'm telling the absolute truth. To me, I wonder like what kind of father pokes behind women. You know what I'm saying? Hiring prostitutes, going to brothels when you have probably he even showed a picture of his own family, a beautiful wife and six beautiful daughters, and I thought to myself, what kind of crazy weird ass father is he? You have a beautiful wife and six daughters. Why would you want to sleep and have fun with so many different women in Phnom Penh and go to all these brothels when again you have a beautiful wife and six daughters? If I was that guy, I would think a million times before doing something like that. You know, I don't know. That's just my humble, honest opinion from my own observation. He even has the audacity to blame it on the devils, blame it all on the demons and the substances he take when he himself consumed those kind of things. Can you imagine how messed up that is? I find it. I mean, I don't blame him. I find it very amusing and entertaining. Maybe he may be lying. He may be just saying that to make my journey there more enjoyable, to have a story to be told in Phnom Penh. We'll never know. But I find that really fun to hear. Actually, very funny, fun, extraordinary, something out of the blue, something you will not predict or anticipate while traveling to a foreign country. I really enjoyed that time, actually, especially coming from something that's not filtered, something that's being told without any layers above it or over it. All right. He told me that if you want to find brothels or prostitutes in Phnom Penh, you'll have to go to Street 136. Honestly speaking, I was contemplating about it, but I still believe in Allahu Akbar, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, bro. I still believed. I still had that iman in me, man. And that I still have that Allahu Akbar in me, dude. I didn't want to do anything that might disappoint maybe my religion, my family, the people around me. So I actually thought a million times before doing those kind of things, actually, too. I mean, I came all the way to Cambodia for Sangkran, not for just a short fling or anything. But yeah, that was my story when I went to Phnom Penh. If you were to ask me, that's something very quite normal actually in Indochina. Because even though prostitution and brothels, they are all illegal, even the act of soliciting for those services, illicit services, is under the law forbidden, but it's unregulated. It's not monitored. Sometimes most of these activities are done under the table and off the radar, without any formal legal detection or enforcement. Because the people there know that these kind of industry bring profit to the country, and it's one of the attraction that they could profit from and exploit, especially among foreigners that come to their country. I mean, I'm not sure if it's embedded within their culture yet, but I think the majority of them still think that it's something immoral and bad. And people usually do that because they are doing it out of poverty. There aren't any many economic opportunities left in their own country, so that's why they resort to those unfavorable conditions in the end. But who are we to blame and who are we to judge? Life can be difficult and hard for people. It's just that hopefully maybe the economic social situation in Indochina, in those countries like Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, or even to the extent of Myanmar, could improve and ameliorate in the near future. So yeah, that's really wild and wacky for me. Imagine going to a restaurant and suddenly someone proposes and recommends you to go to a brothel out of all places. He could at least recommend me to go to a waterfall or a jungle or try something adventurous or extreme. But a brothel out of all places, bruh. Maybe I was contemplating it. Honestly, I was contemplating it. I was thinking about it. But heck no, heck no. I'm not going to let my intrusive thoughts win over those. So thank you guys for watching. See ya.